Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to go ahead and do a head-to-head comparison between the Edifier and the Klipsch, which I did a video about both of these not too long ago. This is the Edifier 1850 dB, and this is the Klipsch R-51PM. The whole purpose of doing this little head-to-head comparison is just to show you the difference between $200 speaker price range and how it compares against $400 speaker price range. So they're both very good speakers in the market for their price bracket, but at the end, it really depends on you, on how you like your music, how you like your audio, and how much you're willing to put down on behind some speakers. So in my opinion, I mean, both of these speakers are fantastic, but I want to see what they sound like when I play certain tracks, let's say movie trailers or music, anything. And for today's video, we'll also go ahead and hook up a subwoofer, which I have down there. That's Klipsch R-120SW, and I'm going to hook them up with both of these speakers. Okay, so we'll go ahead and talk about specs a little bit, just to give you a comparison on what the amp is, what are some of the inputs and outputs, and then after that I'll go ahead and hook it up to do some audio test, and yeah, I'll give you my take on what I think about them. To go over the specs a little bit, let me open it up. I don't remember from the top of my head. The frequency response range for the Edifiers are between 60 to 20 kilohertz, and the frequency response for the Klipsch is 68 to 21 kilohertz. Now 68 may seem like, oh, well, wait a minute, how come this one does 60 and this one does 68? Well, here's the other thing, that the Klipsch will drop to 49 hertz with something called dynamic bass extension, and that happens when you increase the volume to 35% or higher. On the other hand, the Edifiers, they're stuck at 60 hertz. It doesn't drop any below that, but you do have the option to hook up a subwoofer. Well, you have the option to hook up a subwoofer on both of them. When it comes to power handling, let's see, the Edifiers will do 19 watts per channel, 16 watts RMS, and the Klipsch will do 60 watts per channel. So these are much stronger, and they'll play much louder, depending on how high you increase the volume to. All right, so before we begin any sort of sound test, let's go and talk about some of the connections, inputs and outputs that are found on these two speakers. So let's focus on the Edifier first. Right off the bat, you can see that you have several inputs. You have your RCA. You have two types of RCA inputs. One you can dedicate for your PC. Another one you can dedicate for whatever, like if you have turntables, record players, if you want to hook it up to your phone or your TV or something, whatever you want. You can have two different sources going into this. You can also have additional inputs, like for your digital and your coax, and you can use the remote to sort of distinguish where your source, where your audio is coming from. And you also have Bluetooth connection on this thing. So you have 5 different inputs to select from, and 5 different audio sources that you can connect to the Edifier. The Klipsch, on the other hand, you have 2 digital inputs. You have one for USB and one for optical. And then you also have RCA inputs that you can use on your, again, turntables or record players or your phone, TV, whatever you want. If you have RCA cables and you have RCA connection that needs to go into these speakers, you can hook both of them up the same way. You also have auxiliary input, and this one is a 3.5 millimeter. So you could use like a audio cable, whatever you want, just stick it in there. Now, depending on what you use, you want to change this little knob. You need to let the amp know that you're using it for phono, which is your RCA, and that's going to be for your turntable, or you're using it for your line, which is auxiliary. Now, when it comes to output, both speakers have subwoofer out. The Edifier, you'll get a nice little sub out, and it's a 3.5 to, let's say, an LFE, or a 3.5 to an RCA. But on the Klipsch, you get a dedicated LFE. So, which is kind of interesting, because one will require you to have this sort of audio cable, and this one is just a 3.5 to an RCA. So let's say, for example, your subwoofer comes with these red and white plugs. So you plug it in, but you also have to adjust the crossover on your subwoofer to make sure that it works properly. Versus the Klipsch, you just need some LFE cable that looks like this. Pretty simple. You just plug that straight into the subwoofer, and you let the amp manage its frequency range, whatever it needs to play. You can still hook that up to, you know, to a subwoofer with a cutoff knob, but you probably don't need to, because I think the amp inside this one will manage the frequency range pretty well on its own. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Now, one of the things that I mentioned on my previous video, that this the Klipsch doesn't come with any treble or bass, and you don't need it. You know, on the Edifiers, they let you adjust it. You can adjust the treble and bass to your liking. And I kind of just play with it. I kind of like having that option. But with the Klipsch, you don't need it. The amp, the device that's inside these speakers, they'll do a proper job of sorting it out for you. All right. So with that explanation out of the way, let's go ahead and hook these up and play some audio. Now that we have everything hooked up and ready to go, I kind of want to share with you guys some of the readings that I got when it comes to power consumption. So the Klipsch, when this thing is off, completely off, it'll only draw 0.5 watt. That's it. That's nothing. And when it's on position, it'll draw 4.4 watt or 4.5, give or take. Edifiers, on the other hand, these things will draw 0.4, 0.41 watt. That's still nothing. And when it's on position, then it'll draw about 6.1 or 6.2 watts. So which is still nothing. So they're both very energy efficient. Let's see, we'll do some movie trailers, and then we'll do some, you know, well, I'll flip it back and forth. I'll play some tracks just to get you guys feel for what it sounds like. So let's start with Black Widow, just because I like the soundtrack of that.
That's not my story. Before I was an Avenger, I made mistakes. And a lot of enemies.
He's call signs Taskmaster. He controls the Red Room. They're manipulated, fully conscious, but no choices.
I should have come back for you.
How many others are there? Enough.
We have to go back to where it all started, so they never do that to anyone again.
We're family. We fight with you.
You weren't winning. I've always found it best not to look into the past.
Got a plan, or shall I just stay duck and cover?
My plan was to drive us away.
Well, your plan sucks.
At some point, we all have to choose between what the world wants you to be and who you are. I made my choice. I'm done running.
All right, so just from that, the Klipsch definitely sounds a lot better. So again, earlier I mentioned that there's a huge price difference between the two. These are $200, dollars speakers, and these are $400. So sometimes you'll find the Edifiers on sale for maybe $170, $180, and if there's a really big sale, maybe it'll go down to $150, maybe. But these have been, consistently they've been at the $200 mark. The Klipsch, on the other hand, when it's not on sale, you find them for like $400, $399 retail price. And when it is on sale, it's probably around $350, $360, around that price range. But that kind of goes into effect of how well this thing plays versus that. Now these are, you can consider them as budget bookshelf speakers, budget but a little high quality. But the Klipsch, on the other hand, these are like premium solid bookshelf speakers. I mean, this will serve you as a really good home theater experience, versus that will give you a very good desktop computer experience when you're playing games, movies, or anything, something close by. But the Klipsch are meant for larger room. It'll fill it up very well, and at least those bigger woofer that definitely plays the trick. Because I mean, look at the size. I mean, that thing is like 4-inch or 4.5, I think. And this thing is like, well, 4. This one's definitely bigger. Maybe it's closer to 5. I don't know. I need to look at the spec sheet, but who knows? Yeah, it's these sound a lot clearer once you increase the volume and you can feel the bass. I didn't even hook up the subwoofer yet, which I'll do next. But before I hook up the subwoofer, I want to play a little more tracks and switch back and forth so you can hear the difference. So one of the things I gotta say, the Klipsch does a really good job on playing the music, and very crisp, it's clear, it's warm, and it feels really good just listening to the tracks. Edifier's very similar, it's very close. I mean, you know, if you have to pick between like, oh, do I go with a $200 speaker or a $400 speaker? Well, in my opinion, I think the Edifiers will do just fine. But if you want to pay the extra and get the Klipsch R-51PM, then hey, you won't, you know, it's going to be better for the long run, because then you'll be satisfied with a good set of speakers. Now, what he said, we hooked them up to the subwoofer underneath and play some tracks with that. Now, one thing I do want to point out, I just heard it right now. The Klipsch actually makes a lot, gives off a lot of white noise. Kind of weird. That thing should be quiet. We'll start with the Edifiers. I'm going to set the cutoff to 80 hertz. Sounds really good. I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera. I mean, those speakers are going crazy. That sounds really good. Now the Edifiers, on the other hand, I'm still happy with them. The fact that they can perform so well. At the end of the day, it just boils down to your need, and not that these are better than that or that's better than that. They're both equally great speakers at their price range. So for the Klipsch to be a premium bookshelf speakers, yeah, these are fantastic. For Edifiers to be a budget bookshelf speakers, these are fantastic. You know, I can't praise them enough. And I own these. Well, this one, I'm going to return it, get rid of it, because I have no need to keep all these speakers. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm kind of spending my money and I'm going to go broke. Overall, my final verdict is that, you know, I'm happy with both of them. They both perform really well with a subwoofer added. It was really nice to hear the quality of sound with the tweeter and the woofer. It produces the sound very well and is pleasing to your ears. Given that they're front ported, you do get a different immersion compared to the Klipsch. The Klipsch are back ported, but again, it has its own performance level. It provides a different kind of sound quality for you when you listen to music. So nevertheless, very good speakers. If you're in the market for some premium bookshelf speakers, Klipsch. If you're looking for some budget bookshelf speakers for gaming and all multi-purpose, then definitely the Edifiers can go a long way. All right, that's kind of it. That's kind of it for this video. If you guys have any questions, leave it in the comment below, and I'll get to them as I can. I have some more upcoming videos that I'm gonna put up in the future, so keep on the lookout for those. And thanks so much for subscribing. Thanks so much for leaving comments. I enjoy the interaction back and forth and the conversation back and forth. It's been really fun. So yeah, awesome. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.